After 43 dead victims recorded in the Gwache landslide in Bafoussam 3 subdivisions, West region of the Republic of Cameroon, another death is recorded in another landslide in Gousso in the political capital of the Republic of Cameroon, Yaoundé. 42-year-old teacher killed by a landslide. On this day, 4th November in 1982, the first president of the Republic of Cameroon, Amadou Ahidjo, announced his resignation and handed over power to his constitutional successor, at the time Prime Minister Paul Biya, current president of the Republic of Cameroon. How did Cameroonians receive the news? What were their reactions? And more than 3 decades down memory lane, or more than 3 decades after, what has changed? What is the perception that they have of the man of rigor and moralization, President Paul Biya? We're going to answer these questions in this newscast. Those were top stories. Stay with us. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this edition of the news on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. We begin right away in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, where another landslide has killed one person, a 42-year-old teacher killed by a landslide. And this is coming after the 43 deaths recorded in the Gwache landslide in Bafoussam 3 subdivision, West region of the Republic of Cameroon. Details by Smanjik and Gabriel.
Nimacha Edith was the unfortunate soul that perished as a result of the landslide that occurred early Monday morning at the Ngusso neighborhood in Yaoundé. It was 5 a.m. when I heard a very strong sound. As I left my room, she was in the parlor preparing her lesson notes. My first daughter was also studying, since my wife is a teacher. The landslide that has left tears on the eyes of the Nimacha family, reports say, was caused by the roots of a tree that was weakened as a result of the heavy downpour in Cameroon's political capital. It was the root of a tree that went weak before it fell. And without light, we struggled to remove things. And the Army Rescue Unit came at about 40 minutes later. Before we could reach my wife, it was already late, while my daughter was saved.
J'ai pu la tirer de moi-même, puisqu'elle n'était pas aussi ancrée dans les décombres.
Apart from the murder of the house that gave up the ghost, the first daughter of Maurice Nimacha was saved by his own father. The landslide also destroyed other properties in the residence, leaving the entire zone muddy as neighbors gave a helping hand. The landslide that occurred this Monday at the Ngusso neighborhood is coming days after over 30 persons perished as a result of another landslide that occurred in the Bafoussam 3 subdivision of the West region.
And in Fumban, in the West region of the Republic of Cameroon, inhabitants of some localities hit by landslides in 2016 and 2017 are still expecting help from the government, and many of them are still living in the risk zones where another landslide could occur at any time, according to experts. And many of them whose houses were destroyed are still expecting help, notably from the new divisional officer, or the new senior divisional officer of that part of the Republic of Cameroon. EQUINOXE has more.
Njintut, Njilum, Mashinka, and Kununka.
4 localities in Fumban subdivision in the known division of the West region of Cameroon have been identified as risk zones of frequent landslides. Though recent occurrences in these localities have claimed no life, the destructions caused cannot be minimized. Classrooms, homes have been brought down by landslides and others left in a ramshackle state.
À partir de 20h, on était en train de manger. Un bruit s'est éclaté dehors. Subitement, la maison s'est éclatée.
Occupants are now homeless.
On ne sait où vivre maintenant.
Je suis avec les enfants, je n'ai plus pas l'endroit où dormir.
The dead in their graves are deprived of tranquility and peace with their loved ones.
Nous avons essayé de rechercher même les traces des osselets. On n'a pas pu retrouver.
Some occupants of these risk zones say they find it difficult to evacuate and resettle elsewhere, while their deceased loved ones are abandoned at these unsafe sites.
Nous avons initié la requête.
Reason why? They had written to local administrative authorities demanding permission for exhumation of remains of their loved ones.
La réplique du gouvernement pour voir ce qu'il y a lieu de faire avec eux.
This, they say, will enable them freely relocate to where the bones will be reburied.
Juste pour sauver la tombe du papa pour qu'il ne s'enfonce plus comme les autres.
To the then divisional officer for Fumban subdivision, these demands are delayed by legal procedures.
Un arrêté préfectoral ne soit délivré, les autorisant, n'est-ce pas, à exhumer les restes humains en question et à les réhumer ailleurs.
Still to the outgoing divisional officer on a special commission tour to sensitize the population occupying these risk zones. The administration will resettle them in safer areas for the start of life.
Nous sommes en train de recenser de manière objective et je dirais scientifique que seules les vraies victimes soient retenues.
A move expected to be facilitated by the incoming divisional officer for Fumban subdivision to resettle the landslides victims.
In other parts of Cameroon, including Lokbesu in the Douala 5 municipality, Sisia quarters at the foot of the upstation hill in the northwest regional capital Bamenda, Mbankolo in the nation's political capital Yaoundé, and other parts of the country, inhabitants have occupied risk zones and they are living there at the risk of a landslide that could occur at any time. We'll be showing you the situation of Lokbesu in the Douala 5 subdivision in some few minutes. Time for us to talk about the handing over of power by the first president of the Republic of Cameroon, Amadou Ahidjo, to his constitutional successor at the time, Prime Minister Paul Biya, who is the current president of Cameroon. That was on the 4th of November 1982 when the first president of the Republic of Cameroon, Amadou Ahidjo, said he was stepping down and that Paul Biya was going to take over from him at the helm of the state. How did Cameroonians receive the news? What were their reactions? And more than 3 decades more than 3 decades after that, what has happened? What has changed? What is the perception that they have of the man of rigor and moralization, President Paul Biya? Today, Alice Com, the first French-speaking female lawyer in the Cameroon bar, was speaking to us on these questions in the program La Vérité en Face yesterday. Take a listen. Where were you when the news of President Paul Biya, at the time Prime Minister, coming to power was announced, and how did you get the news?
You know, we got the news from the radio. We didn't have TV on this time. I don't think we had it. And everybody was shocked because surprised. What are we going to do? What will be the next step? And then after that, when the things came true and effective on the field, many people were so happy because we were prepared by President Amadou himself, who asked us to support his successor.
Mais qu'est-ce qui justifiait cette
to love him, to help him, to support him. So everybody was glad, everybody was confident.
Why were people happy?
Because, you know, people naturally like to change. We know that human being has many steps of his life. You have adolescent, but you have now the normal life when you have your majority. You become a man, you become a woman, ready to work for the country.
Was there a sense of liberation from some kind of...
Not for me, because I was very happy with President Ahidjo. I was very happy for that. Because the country was so respected abroad. And he told everybody that he will be the one who make politics. But because he's the one who make politics, he will be able to have politics that easier the life of the private sector by having a good reputation for Cameroon, a good signature in the banks, and everybody. And believe me, as student, as student, we were very happy because we all had scholarships. When you were from a family, a poor family, let's say that, you have no problem if you were a hard worker in school. You were sure that you will have your scholarship and continue your studies and become someone in the city, in the country. You could become a politician, judges, and we had everything for someone who wanted to be someone and working, studying. We have everything here. If you couldn't study here, you could study abroad with scholarship, which I think is not exactly the same situation today. So we were happy in our youth, as youth in Cameroon, very proud of our president, very proud of being Cameroonian. Believe me, by our time, we had all many facilities to have a French nationality. Germany, you went to Germany without any visa, nothing, but everything seems so easy.
Barrister Alice Com, first French-speaking female lawyer in the Cameroon bar, and concerning the separation of powers, Barrister Alice Com thinks that this principle is not applied in Cameroon. It does not exist, according to Barrister Alice Com, and she backs up this point of view by saying that Cameroon, the state of Cameroon, has just one arm instead of three. According to her, the judicial arm and the legislative arm of the state of Cameroon have been absorbed by the executive arm. Take a listen. In one of my interviews with one of your colleagues, Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel Abo, he said the state of Cameroon has two arms instead of three. And he thinks so because, according to him, the judiciary or the judicial arm of the state is part of the executive with regards to the points that above the judiciary, you have the Minister of Justice, who is a member of the executive, and above the judicial system, of course, you have the Supreme Judicial Council, headed by President Paul Biya, who is a member of the executive. And so he thinks that there are simply two arms of the state in Cameroon and not three, because one, the judiciary, is absorbed by the executive. What do you think about this?
What I think is that there is only one arm, not two. The executive has all the others in his hands. Only one arm. This is what we can call dictatorship, authoritarianism. Never you can call this kind of organization on the field, never, never, never you can call it democracy. The people have no power here. And in our constitution, when he swore, it is on the constitution, and you have a separation in provision 26 of the constitution. What is the domain of the law of legislative power and what is for the head of state. He has his own federal route in the Constitution. And we are supposed to have a high court to sue him if he commit
an offense.
Yes. Can you tell me where is this court in our country?
What do you think about persistent calls for the liberation of all those who have been arrested and detained in connection to the Anglophone crisis, a ceasefire in the northwest and southwest regions, general amnesty for those in and out of the country? These calls have been coming up again and again, but practically no response, no corresponding response from the head of state, from the government. What do you think about these calls as a way out of the Anglophone crisis?
That means simply that the president is not sincere when he says that he wants peace to come back. He doesn't want it. He wants everybody to waste time. As far as he's sitting on this presidential seat, he don't have the same knowledge of timing like us. So go and do whatever you can go. What he is in charge of is looking for how to sit there until the rendezvous with his death come and meet him here.
Now back to the occupation of risk zones in Cameroon by the population. I said earlier that many Cameroonians are living in several risk zones in different towns across the country, and one of such areas where Cameroonians or citizens have occupied risk zones is in Lokbesu in the Douala 5 subdivision. For me, Armstrong Sander has the details.
Several houses in Lokbesu are planted on a risk zone, despite warning signs planted across the area. Inhabitants say a few months ago, about 3 houses were still standing on this spot, which is now a steep terrain. Today they have all collapsed and have been buried by the danger that is threatening to do more in the neighborhood. The ravine keeps digging and gradually, but steadily, approaching other houses that might soon collapse. Beneath the danger are houses with occupants who seem not to be bothered of the dangers above them. In these parts of Lokbesu in Douala 5 subdivision, a full quarter is born on a risk zone. Within the ravine, houses disappear in a catastrophic manner, but new ones continue to rise. Some locals say they have no choice but stay despite the imminent danger. They have been fighting hard against nature to keep their houses standing, to no avail. Others blame a construction project for the current problem.
Depuis 2008, nous n'avons pas d'éboulement dans ce quartier.
We had never experienced a landslide here until 2008 when Satom began building this road from Lendi to Sodikombo. They unfortunately dug this place and allowed room for a destructive erosion. There were 2 houses over there and a story building this way, which have all fallen down. The story building you see that way has less than 1 year to collapse. Environmental experts say it has been provoked by the modification of a water passage through an anarchical occupation. This same cause is a problem in several neighborhoods across the city of Douala. At the entrance to the military engineering corps base in Nyala, a neighborhood in the Douala 3 municipality, some houses are waiting on a count to 5 for them to descend. Efforts employed to limit landslide around the area are frustrated by an irresponsible behavior from some local inhabitants who fill the drainage path with household waste. Introduced in 2016, the project meant to develop and control risk zones across the city of Douala is advancing at a snail pace.
The president of the Pan-African Press Convention has called on other African heads of states to follow the footsteps of President Mahamadou Issoufou of Niger, who has announced that he's not going to be standing as candidate in the next year's presidential election in Cameroon. And Nyobe Bodwin, director of the African Press Convention, was speaking in Boya over the weekend while handing over an award to the Nigerian Consul General for the Northwest and Southwest regions of Cameroon. Derek Jato has more.
The director of Pan-African Press Convention is in the southwest regional capital of Cameroon, and the lone mission of Nobe Bodwin is to hand an award to His Excellency Ibrahim Mohamed Bashi, the Nigerian Consul General for the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, for his exceptional diplomatic skills in handling affairs of Nigerians in these two regions, especially this trial moment.
We are all here as witnesses. We are today to recognize the Consul General of Nigeria. The prize that we give him today is to make him continue to work hard.
After receiving the award in a ceremony that took place here at the Nigerian Consulate, His Excellency Ibrahim Mohamed Bashi thanked the Pan-African Press Convention for the honor.
Well, I feel humbled to have been recognized by a reputable Pan-Africa media like them.
And to his collaborators, the award is a victory to them as a team.
And my collaborators in the office, this award is for all of us. I also feel indebted to the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who appointed me his Consul General.
And if today his office is this succeeding, thanks to the support he is receiving from the Cameroon government.
I have to mention the cooperation and the support and understanding that I have received from the two governors of the Southwest region, who is my host, and the governor of the Northwest region.
The Pan-African Press Convention next stop point this November 2019 will be in the country of Niger to hand an award of peace and lesson for a better Africa, exhibited by President Mahamadou Issoufou, who declared that he will not be running in the next year presidential election in his country.
Because he has said he will not represent presidential election that will hold on 2020. That's good for Africa to have another ideas.
To Pan-African Press Convention, such a decision should be emulated for a better continent.
The president of the Pan-African Press Convention, or rather the director of the Pan-African Press Convention, calling on President Paul Biya of Cameroon and other African heads of states to step down and hand over power, like as announced by the president of Niger, who has said that he's not going to be running for next year's presidential election in this country. We're going to take an advertorial in this newscast. Tayo Emmanuel is the first winner of the brand MTN, brand November MTN Toyota Rush car with a million francs CFA, and the winner from Kumba joined other lucky customers of MTN to receive prizes in the Bonaberi Douala 4 subdivision. For me, Armstrong Sander.
Barely a week after the launch of MTN end of year, the #1 mobile telephone network provider in Cameroon, MTN is already celebrating the first winner of a series of MTN Rush cars to be won by MTN customers across Cameroon in a memorable event to hand over the prestigious MTN car worth millions of francs CFA and equally cash prizes to some lucky customers. MTN attracted a mammoth crowd of customers, staff and inhabitants to a beautiful scene at the Grand Hangar neighborhood in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision.
On Friday last week, I got a message in my account. I discovered that my account has been increased by 100,000 francs. I took some bread first and then I waited. I got a call from my supplier. She told me that I'm a winner.
And then came the highly awaited moment. The awards of the prestigious brand new MTN Rush car to the winner. The winner, Emmanuel from Kumba, in the Meme Division, Southwest region of Cameroon, explains how he got to win.
I spend more time on pressing my phone. Then, when the message come in about this MTN promotion of Toyota Rush, I read the message and I look at it very well. I just anyhow, one doesn't know what can happen. On Sunday morning, after when I went to church, I came back. It was around 11 a.m. in the morning. I saw the party with some of my friends. We were discussing. So I went to put on my TV station. So I was scrolling down, fortunately, and I saw my number. So I shouted to my friend, "Oh, that's my number. Maybe I've win that car." They were surprised, all of them. So I went outside with that so much joy. I was screaming. People came out and I said, "What's the I said, "No, I've won a car from MTN." All of a sudden, on Monday morning, I got a call from MTN that you have won a brand new Toyota Rush.
MTN Cameroon reassured clients that they are going to give one car every week to a delighted customer till the end of the year 2019.
So I'm very happy today with our first winner. We are showing that it's real. MTN is here. We're going to give one car every week to a delighted customer. Every 5 minutes, we're giving 5,000. And you also enter into a draw to win this wonderful car.
Above that, MTN, as leader of mobile telephone network provider in Cameroon, presents 2020 perspectives that keeps customer at the center of every action.
We've been working the whole year of 2019 and going forward in 2020 to ensure that we give not only the fastest mobile network, the best service, but also the best product. And in recognition to our customers on a continuous basis, to thank them for being customers of MTN, to thank them that it is so important that we bring connectivity everywhere in Cameroon.
MTN customers were reassured of the availability of several other cars to be won before the year runs out, and equally told that all it takes to win is just an MTN Wonder transaction of at least 250 francs CFE or a Momo transaction of minimum 5,000 francs CFE.
And that's it for this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.